All right, well, hello everyone and happy Wednesday. It's digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four. Of course, the live stream where I go through some of 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. I hope you're all having a happy Wednesday so far, a great afternoon, of course, as always, wherever you're watching Before the Four this afternoon, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream. As always, thank you so much for watching and spending just a tad bit of your afternoon here. Now, let's dive into some of today's top stories, shall we? And let's begin in Decatur, where during yesterday's city council meeting, council members voted to rename a street for Steve Perkins. Of course, that's who you're seeing on screen. Steve Perkins was shot and killed outside of his home on Ryan Drive back in September of 2023 during a dispute with a tow truck driver. Now, Decatur police officer Mac Marquette was charged with his murder. Since Perkins' death, people in the Decatur community have been protesting, hosting events in his honor, and creating petitions. On Tuesday night, that was last night, petitioners saw the fruits of their labor, renaming Ryan Drive after Steve Perkins. The Decatur City Council, aside from Hunter Pepper, who was not there, voted to rename Ryan Drive to Steve Perkins Drive in a 4-0 vote. Now, back in April of 2025, the Decatur Planning Commission approved the renaming, but petitioners needed that 75% approval. At that time, residents on Ryan Drive were asked about the change. 31 of them said yes, and only 1 said no. But now, months later, petitioners have crossed the 75% approval from residents that was needed. But now let's talk about the weather here across the Tennessee Valley. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis with the latest on what we can expect. Brad?
Well, good afternoon on this Wednesday, halfway through a short work week for some of us. Temperatures getting hotter, and that's really part of the issue, at least if you've been liking this cooler weather. It's going to get hotter right on into the weekend. What we're looking at is some scattered showers and storms just after 3 o'clock this afternoon. I do expect the activity to increase as we go into the evening hours, at least the chance. Decatur looking good. It's hot, though. It's 88 degrees, feels like the low 90s. Current temperatures elsewhere about the same. We've got a mixed variety of low to mid 80s and some upper 80s as well. Let's jump right to the big change in the forecast. That's for Saturday. I think we're going to start with the potential for a round of showers or storms in the morning. It all depends on what happens late Friday night to our northwest. If they get a line of storms that drop southeast, that will increase our chance for thunderstorms in the morning. If not, we'll have to wait till the front actually arrives, and that's going to be sometime around the noon hour, and that will put an end to the showers and storms behind it as the drier air will win out and move in. So there's our change. This front's not moving in until Saturday. We are still looking really good behind the front with temperatures in the low to mid 80s Sunday and Monday, and overnight lows getting back into the 50s. But a hot one ahead, 90 tomorrow and 94 Friday.
That's good to know. And also, y'all don't forget, I say it every day, of course, it goes on every day as well. First Alert Weather Extra, that is tonight at 9:30. You can watch Weather Extra wherever you're watching Before the 4 this afternoon. So that's Facebook, YouTube, the 48 Now live stream, whatever it is. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis, he'll be back here in the 48 Now Center, and he'll have all the latest that he is seeing on the radar. You're just not going to want to miss it. Leave a comment. Brad will shout you out. He always has a great time with it. But yes, you're just not going to want to miss it. Weather Extra. But now, as we all know, yesterday President Trump announced the relocation of the U.S. Space Command headquarters to Huntsville from Colorado Springs, a move lawmakers say was long overdue. Yesterday, 48's Callie Neese spoke with a local realtor who says the time to buy a house in the Rocket City is now. Let's take a listen.
State leaders say they're excited for this opportunity for Space Command to come to Huntsville. Representative Andy Witt told me this is about Space Command coming to its rightful home. Witt says there's a lot of work to be done to prepare for Space Command to come to the Redstone Arsenal, saying there is road work and infrastructure work that needs to be done. But he says Huntsville is up for the challenge.
We're certainly excited about the opportunity to have Space Command here in Huntsville and the Rocket City where it belongs. With that comes jobs, comes new opportunities, new growth.
However, John Evans from Legend Realty says the city of Huntsville is running out of land.
Land has become scarce in this area as you've seen the growth. And so the growth of Huntsville has expanded into some of those smaller communities where land is available.
Evans says this is great for those smaller communities' economy. He adds that he believes there will be enough housing for everyone coming to Huntsville. Not just Space Command, but from the FBI and other expanding corporations and businesses in the area. He does warn the community, saying now is the time to buy.
We can expect, with all the growth that we're seeing, we can expect to see the demand be higher and the supply go down, because right now it's pretty balanced, but as we grow, there's going to be fewer opportunities to buy.
Evans adds that new builds have been the backbone of the real estate industry here in Huntsville for a while now, and he believes that's going to help house all the new families coming to the valley. Reporting in Huntsville, Callie Neese, 48 News, on your side.
Now, of course, another big topic of concern regarding Space Command remains our roads and buildings. Are they ready for it all? With thousands of new jobs being added in the Rocket City, what is it all going to look like? 48's Faith Delp reports.
I asked many city officials what this means for our infrastructures and roads, and while challenges are expected, there aren't as many concerns as you would think.
With Space Command or without Space Command, we're working on infrastructure day to day.
Huntsville is constantly growing, and Mayor Battle says he's used to the growth. The city is always working on upgrading our roads and infrastructures. Road construction in Huntsville is constant, and he said more people won't change upcoming construction plans, adding that he and future leaders will adapt with the growth of the city.
Not necessarily for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but for 10, 15, 20 years out. As we catch our infrastructure up with what the growth is, it will help also make sure that we continue as a prospering, known as a very prospering city that is moving ahead.
I sat down with City Councilman Bill Kling as President Trump announced this big news, and he says while more needs to be done, there's no better place for Space Command.
We have a lot of infrastructure in place. Certainly more infrastructure will be needed in the future. So many different agencies already at Redstone Arsenal in a very secure area. I think that's certainly going to be a great home for Space Command.
Not everyone who moves here for Space Command will live in Huntsville. Some will live outside of city limits in Madison County. County Commissioner Phil Vandiver says completing road projects isn't the concern, it's funding them, adding that it could be a few years before tax revenue catches up and commissioners can properly pay for every road project needed. But he says that's a challenge for another day. For now, he says to celebrate Space Command.
This is a good day. We just need to step back in a day or two and start trying to figure out our challenges with these roads and all, and try to solve that.
Every leader I spoke to is excited for what Space Command means for our community and for our country. Reporting in Huntsville, Faith Delp, 48 News, on your side.
And now coming up after the break, we'll talk about how yesterday's decision will impact not only Huntsville and Madison County, but Limestone County as well, and how schools will be impacted by the decision. It's all ahead. I'll be right back in 1 minute. Well, alrighty, break is over. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Before the Four. Now, turning over to Limestone County, 48's Aria Pons gives us a look at how the Space Command relocation will impact residents out there. Aria Pons reports.
Athens city leaders say they've already set up meetings to begin what they call smart planning. They want to make sure they're preparing now for the eventual growth spurt ahead.
That's where it should have been. It's where it should be.
Athens Mayor Ronnie Marks says this is a momentous day for Huntsville, but also the entire Tennessee Valley. He says across North Alabama, communities will reap the benefits from Space Command being moved to Huntsville. However, he adds there will be challenges that come with this growth.
Coming with that growth is the challenge of how do you manage it? How do you prepare for it? How do you look at your infrastructure, the need for new fire station services to your people?
Leaders are already preparing for those possibilities, especially with thousands of people moving to North Alabama as a part of this deal.
We want to welcome those families into our community because we do have space for them.
It won't just boost the population. Pammy Jamar, the president of the Athens Limestone Chamber of Commerce, says it will breathe life back into economies. Jamar says they already have a lot to offer.
That's going to be huge for Athens Limestone County because we will be afforded for those families to be able to possibly move here with our great education, our quality of life, and just the diversity of our town and city.
City and county leaders say they're ready to welcome any and all personnel that want to move into their community. They say they have plenty of housing available, and the city is located less than 35 minutes from the Arsenal. Reporting in Athens, Aria Pons, 48 on your side.
And now schools. 48's Nick Ballinger spoke with Madison City Schools Superintendent and has more. Let's take a listen.
It's a question Madison City School Superintendent Dr. Ed Nichols says he gets often. How will his district manage the growth in the area? Now, with thousands of jobs moving to the Rocket City with Space Command, he's answering the question once again.
I'm not jumping out today and putting up some more brick and mortar, but I do know it's going to have an impact.
The fastest growing district in the state has grown 123% since 2000. An average of 350 students join Madison City Schools each year, and Dr. Nichols expects that number to jump with Space Command families. Depending on the number of new students, the district may need help from state and federal leaders to keep up.
Well, now that this is happening, are we going to have a third high school? Well, this is not going to change that plan because that plan can't happen without the funding to go with it.
Like Madison City, neighboring Huntsville City Schools has a plan of its own. A 10-year plan was approved last year without Space Command projections. School Board Vice President Ryan Renaud says a Space Command-sized wrench might have been thrown in those plans.
The capital plan, I like to say, is a living, breathing document. This board would be, more than happy to go through the amendment process if need be.
It's still too early for either district to project the exact number of students, but the one thing they do know, change is coming.
All right, and now let's turn over to the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscast. 48's Faith Delp, of course, she'll continue bringing you more Space Command coverage as a roundtable was held with local leaders earlier today. The latest on Ardmore Water, 48's Noah Cowell is on that this afternoon. And finally, speaking with Florence Police regarding stolen guns and an uptick in car break-ins. These are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscast. And y'all, that is just about it for today's Before the Four. We do not have a 48 Facebook question today, but it will return tomorrow. Just make sure to tune in to tomorrow's Before the Four. Speaking of Facebook comments, though, I see we have a comment this afternoon from Roberta Smart. Roberta, thank you so much for watching Before the Four. Good evening. I hope you are having a great day so far. But y'all, that is it for today's Before the Four. But as always, thank you so much for sticking around, spending a bit of your afternoon here. I hope you enjoyed tonight's evening newscasts. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You all have a great night.